Now to your point too about help. Now I want to play this real quick because this thing is evolving so fast. They arrested two women who also were supposedly helping them.
Of both the women communicating with some of the fugitives. They say Corvante Baptiste helped the one recaptured last night, Corey Boyd, and that Courtney Harris was at some point used as a getaway car. Now, Fox 8 law enforcement source says Leo Tate called Harris before the jailbreak. Tate was in the facility awaiting trial on burglary, drug, and weapons charges. Troopers say Harris later drove two of the fugitives around various spots in New Orleans. They say those two are still on the run, but did not identify them any further. In Slidell, troopers say Corvante Baptiste helped to get food to Corey Boyd while he hid from police. They say they have records of phone calls and social media messages. Boyd was picked up by troopers yesterday evening in the 1400 block of Iberville. He's accused of killing Mr. Brandon Fees during a car burglary last year. Now, the two women each face one count of accessory after the fact. In Louisiana, that's a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Now, 5 inmates are still out there, and investigators say they're getting help to stay ahead of law enforcement. Attorney General Liz Murrill says her message is simple: help the escapees, and you will end up behind bars.
If you help them, you will be prosecuted. You shouldn't help them. The more help that they get, the more charges there are going to be.
Is it really worth going to prison over?
Yeah, it's always somebody willing to help. It's always a woman willing to help, but they gonna end up catching these charges, and it's like,
I mean, it's not. Is it like she said? Is it really worth it? I don't think so. I don't think it's worth catching a felony.
Well, yeah,
for somebody,
definitely not.
I mean, no, for somebody who ain't gonna be able to do nothing for you, he's going to. They gonna put him under the jail. He ain't gonna be able to do nothing for you.
No,
while you doing your time in jail.
Definitely not. Well, it's interesting because I'm wondering if now these two women, they're 32 and 38 years old. I'm wondering if they were, I don't know, they didn't specify if they were family members or girlfriends or whatever, or how long they had been talking to them. I'm sure all that'll come out at some point, but like you said, I think they'll probably end up catching the rest of them fairly soon. But
I think so.
It's.
I think so. Like you said, you really need some paper to be able to stay free.
Definitely.
To keep hiding out. To keep. I mean, you need to really have some very loyal associates and acquaintances and family members that's not going to turn you in, because I tell you what, the longer they stay free, eventually that reward money is going to go up.
Yeah.
It's $20,000 now, but who knows when it's going to be 25, 30,
right.
$50,000. People turn each other in for $5,000.
You got that right.
$1,000, $1,000 Crime Stopper money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you start offering people something like $25,000, $30,000. I mean, let alone the 20 that's already on the table. Somebody's gonna say something, especially if you can get that money anonymously. Shoot,
that's a fact. The individual per capita income is $32,000 in New Orleans. New Orleans, there are some well-off people in New Orleans, but New Orleans is not known to be a place of rich people. So, great city, but not a place where the wealthy live. So people need that money, and you're right, because now you got to look at it like this: the less inmates that are free, the more money that could be put towards the reward. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was 10 of them and you had 20 grand a piece 5 days ago, whatever, now they call half. They can raise that to 40 or 50 or 100. And that you putting a stake around somebody's neck at that point. You putting a sirloin steak around someone's neck. They look like food at this point, but
for sure,
it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really wondering what's going to happen with the maintenance worker, and also the.
He's going to jail.
You think
he's going to jail? I mean, it's just. I mean, unless he's really got a stellar defense team behind him, there's just too many things that's going to be hard to explain. Behind, like, really, how'd they know that particular toilet is the one that they needed to get through. Why not another toilet in another pod? You know what I mean? Why this particular toilet? And you happen to be there that day at that time at that toilet, the exact toilet that they needed to get through to get out. Explain that. How do you explain? Either you are the unluckiest guy in the world, or they are the luckiest inmate in the world. And I don't think it's either one. I don't think it's coincidence.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and you know, really looking at the situation. Yeah, let me share this. I'm sure people have saw this before, but let me just share this because you know I'm wondering. No, I agree with you. To your point, yeah, there's no way that they didn't. You know, there's no way that the maintenance it didn't happen just by coincidence as far as cutting the water, but when you look at this, you got to say to yourself, because they also put, you know, f f the ops 50, I guess f the ops, you know, police, suck my d, uh,
Too easy.
and too easy. But of course, they didn't put the t 200, so you can't be mad. You can't be mad at them. And then they drew this too easy, lol. But this is a little. I wonder how they saw through it.
Something more than just a
I
shame.
guess anything's possible, but yeah, I mean, this is gonna be in the movies. They used to take the, they used to dig on that one brick and do it for a long time, like in Shawshank
That's what
Redemption.
I'm saying. Like this, I don't think this happened over just a day.
Yeah, this hole seemed to be already like there, right there,
That, you know
and
what,
the
that makes
toilet
sense.
was bolted to the wall, and this space in and of itself is already there to connect the
There.
pipe. That's my assumption,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then
You know what?
they just
You're
pulled it off.
absolutely right. You're
You know what I'm
absolutely
saying?
right. That makes sense.
They'll probably find out later on how long it was planned.
Yeah.
But I think overall, none of this would have happened if the patrol was correct. So I guess you can look at all of this stuff and say, okay, well, what were the breakdowns? Why? Because they're going to look at why did this happen and how do we prevent it from happening again, right?
Right.
And I think that there's a couple of things you have not cooperation but cooperation from inside because I want to know what the four people who were laid off. I wonder and laid off, but
It's
uh,
suspended.
suspended. I want to know if they helped or they were just laid off for going on lunch or whatever and not paying attention. You know, because 7 hours is a long time for no one to be doing any checks on the bed. So that's one. So the maintenance worker, we're going to find out about him. They seem to have their claws in him pretty tight. And then I'm gonna play real quickly. I'm gonna play the what's her name? Keep forgetting her name. Susan Hudson. She's the sheriff. So she's the one catching the heat. Let's hear what she has to say real quick because she was gonna run for reelection. I think she's halted her reelection plans right now
Shoot,
because
she might need to resign now.
yeah.
At a city council meeting earlier today, Sheriff Susan Hudson, who oversees the jail, took full responsibility for the escape. She also blamed the failure on insufficient funding.
It is deeply troubling to me as your sheriff, and I know it is equally troubling to you and the public that we are sworn to protect. As your sheriff, I take full accountability for this failure. We have submitted multiple requests over the years for staffing, maintenance, and infrastructure upgrades needed to safely run this jail. Unfortunately, time and deferred investment have caught up with us all.
My first guest tonight is calling on that sheriff to resign. She says blaming funding for this incident is a deflection, not an explanation. Louisiana State Representative Amy Adato Freeman joins me now. Representative, you're the first state official to publicly call on the sheriff to step down. Why do you think she needs to resign?
Well, the reason I think she needs to resign is her lack of accountability and her grand failure of leadership. It's embarrassing to me that she has one job, which is to keep the inmates in the jail and keep the rest of us safe. And right now, I know that families who've had to move out of the state and into hiding because they're either witnesses or their attorneys who prosecuted some cases against some of these.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the fact that, people who may have testified or something against these guys. But again, these guys are trying to stay free.